the key point here, which again, the mainstream media won't pay attention to, which is Russia actually claimed to have had very negative and derogatory information about Hillary Clinton. That if they had chosen to release that in the weeks leading up to that November 2016 election, it would have very likely had a devastating...
The moment Tulsi Gabbard turned her focus on Hillary Clinton, it felt like watching a surgeon step into the operating room with steady hands and a clear purpose. Every move was sharp and deliberate, no wasted energy, no need for theatrics. Hillary, by contrast, has carried herself through her career as though she's forever auditioning for the role of the world's most misunderstood villain, a character trapped in her own drama. Tulsi, on the other hand, has this rare ability to cut through the layers of spin and political noise with just a few carefully chosen words. And when it comes to Hillary, there's no shortage of material to cut through.
In fact, this report shows Putin held back from leaking compromising material on Hillary Clinton prior to the election, instead planning to release it after the election to weaken what Moscow viewed as an inevitable Clinton presidency. In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton.
Tulsi Gabbard doesn't even have to stretch the truth when it comes to Hillary Clinton. Hillary does most of the work herself, stumbling through each attempt to rewrite her legacy as if she's her own worst critic. Her entire career has looked like a masterclass in failing upward, climbing from First Lady to Senator to Secretary of State to presidential candidate, all while leaving behind a string of scandals, foreign policy blunders, and awkward public moments that would have ended the careers of almost anyone else. But somehow, Hillary keeps surviving, as if political gravity doesn't apply to her.
Hillary.
That essentially the documents that Russia claimed they had portrayed Hillary Clinton as having mental health challenges that would result in fits of laughter and fits of rage. It also pointed out some very specific physical health concerns that apparently leaders within the DNC were discussing amongst each other.
That's right. This wasn't invented intelligence like the Steele dossier. This was supposedly emails
and communication among senior.
Hillary Clinton treats political disgrace the way a cat treats knocking things off a counter. Casual, routine, almost recreational. It's expected at this point, and when someone points it out, she acts indignant, as though the real offense isn't acknowledging it. Tulsi Gabbard cuts right through that facade, flipping the whole narrative over and exposing it for what it is, the saga of someone who's been given every chance imaginable and still managed to botch them all, fumbling each opportunity like a quarterback trying to grip a buttered football. Hillary has been in the political arena longer than many voters have even been alive, and yet the most enduring accomplishment she can claim is proving that name recognition alone can keep a career artificially alive, even when everything else says it should have ended years ago.
It goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department.
Look at the 2016 election, a case study in political self-destruction. The Democrats went in stacked with advantages, money pouring in, near total media backing, cultural elites cheering from the sidelines, and Hillary clutching her Rolodex full of powerful allies like it was her secret weapon. And yet, with all that, she lost to Donald Trump, the very candidate the media spent months assuring the country could never win. That wasn't just a defeat, it was the Super Bowl of political incompetence. Tulsi underscores this by pointing out that Hillary didn't merely stumble at the finish line. She went down hard, face first, and then blamed the racetrack for being uneven. And the truth is, That loss wasn't some strange twist of fate unique to November 2016. It was the culmination of a career defined by overconfidence, poor instincts, and the inability to learn from her own mistakes.
Fluke. To that November 2016 election. The fact is, the opposite is true. It was intentionally withheld and not released because they assumed that Hillary Clinton would win that election. And their plan, according to these documents that were found in an investigation the House Intelligence Committee conducted into the CIA's creation of this January 2017.
It was the natural end result of decades of arrogance and tone deafness. Tulsi doesn't need to raise her voice to make the point. She just lays out the facts. Hillary saw the Rust Belt as a backdrop for campaign photo ops, not a community of people whose livelihoods were crumbling. She brushed aside the concerns of working-class Americans while soaking up applause and checks from Hollywood's elite. She carried herself as though the presidency was owed to her, a crown waiting to be placed on her head, not a trust that had to be earned from the people. And when those same people pushed back, she dismissed them outright, branding them deplorable, as if scorning voters was a legitimate political strategy.
They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy...
Tulsi tears through that chapter with ease because it captures everything people have come to expect from Hillary Clinton, a sense of entitlement so deep she couldn't imagine ordinary Americans refusing to grant her the Oval Office. And her record as Secretary of State gives Tulsi even more ammunition, a highlight reel of missteps that reads like a catalog of negligence. Benghazi isn't just a political talking point. It's a lasting scar on her tenure. Lives were lost under her leadership, and her reaction wasn't one of accountability or humility. It was a string of excuses, evasions, and condescending remarks. Watching her sit before Congress, dodging responsibility with a smugness that suggested she was untouchable, only underscored the problem. For Tulsi, who put on the uniform and understands what service and sacrifice mean, that detachment was more than political theater, it was personal. And then there's the infamous email scandal, another defining emblem of Hillary's approach to power. Private servers, wiped drives, vanished emails, all of it resembling the plot of a second-rate spy thriller gone sideways. What Hillary called routine procedure became a national spectacle, and her insistence that there was nothing to hide only cemented the joke. It wasn't just sloppy, it was a career-long pattern of dismissing accountability whenever it got in the way.
Our foreign policy has been a disaster for our country and the world. It's resulted in the deaths and injuries of so many of my brothers and sisters in uniform. It's devastated entire countries, millions of lives lost. Yet, despite this damage that you have done to our country and the world, you want to continue your failed policies, directly or indirectly through the Democratic nominee.
She acted like
Hillary carried herself as though security protocols were just optional guidelines, boxes she could tick or ignore at will simply because she was Hillary Clinton. Tulsi cut straight through that illusion, revealing it for what it was: arrogance disguised as convenience. That very arrogance eroded her trust with the public, gutted her credibility, and in the end, helped cost her the presidency. The bitter irony of Hillary's career is her insistence on presenting herself as a tireless champion for women, while her record tells a far different story. Tulsi highlights how Hillary has wielded feminism not as a genuine principle, but as a stage prop, using the rhetoric of empowerment when it advanced her ambitions and discarding it when it became inconvenient. She positioned herself as the face of breaking glass ceilings, yet all too often resorted to suppressing or dismissing others whenever her power was threatened. And then there's the matter of Bill Clinton, whose scandals remain a shadow she has never outrun. Hillary has dragged his baggage around for decades, like an expensive suitcase with a broken handle, impossible to carry gracefully, impossible to set down. No matter how many rebrands she attempts, the weight of that history always follows.
I think that the Democratic Party leaders, people like Hillary Clinton, people who've been in charge for a very long time foment this kind of culture of fear and like, hey, if you go against us, like, you're dead, 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 you're dead.